Okay, everyone, thank you so much for coming. Welcome to Traffic School. It is my one-stop shop of awesome knowledge for doubling your web traffic and getting a ton more visitors on your website. I am so happy you are here. I have been working nonstop on this webinar for the past week. I have literally crammed so much awesome material in here that I don't even know what to do with it. So I'm going to jump right into it because I don't want to go too much over, and I'm worried that we're so much to cover, we're not going to get to it. So I'm going to launch right into it. So it is awesome to meet you. If I don't know you, there are people on this call that I haven't met before. So thank you so much for checking this out. As many of you know, but not all of you, my name is Dan Barrett. I'm from Two Friendly Nerds. That's TWO Friendly Nerds. .com. You can follow me on Twitter at two, the number two this time, Friendly Nerds. And I am so pleased to be going over this content with you because I really truly believe in the stuff I'm going to show you today. And I think it just can have such an awesome impact on your business. Now, before we get started, I want to say, make sure you stick around. If you're watching this, stick around till the end of the webinar because I'm going to share some really awesome free resources with you. And I'm really psyched about it, and I really want you to be sure that you take advantage of it. Okay, so stick around to the end if you're watching this. So let's get going. This is the problem that I want to solve for you today. And it's a problem that I see all the time with so many of my clients. And it's that you spend so much time, you spend money, you spend effort getting this really amazing site, and you put it up and you're so excited and it's there to represent your business, and then no one comes, right? No one goes to your site. No one reads your blog. No one checks out all the stuff that you're doing. And it can be so frustrating, right? It can be really demoralizing, right? And this is for a couple different reasons that this happens, I think, right? For one, there's a lot of competition out there. A lot of the traffic generation strategies that people use haven't really changed since 2005, right? It's all basically the same thing. We're all on social media, we're all making content, we're all trying to share things, but the web is so crazy big. Last time I checked, I think this is 2013, this data, there were 644 million websites. And it's just become this problem of how do you possibly stand out in a crowd that's that big? So that's one problem. The second problem is that we just don't have enough time, right? Time is a real constraint on what we do to market our business. I mean, most of us are so busy doing our real business stuff, right? For me, it's building websites, or for you, it might be coaching or consulting or whatever it is, that you don't have time at the end of the day to just spend blogging, pinning, tweeting, videoing, liking, thumbs upping, plus oneing, whatever the thing is. It's just too much. It's too much stuff to add on to the end of the full day. Now, the Financial Times, this quote I pulled out here, they said, a 72-hour work week is the new normal. Well, I don't know about you, but I don't even want to work a 40-hour work week, much less a 72-hour work week. That's crazy to me. So time is a real problem. Like whatever we want to do to market our business, it has to fit into our actual day. And then, of course, it's really hard to tell what works. If you spend 2 hours a day blogging and 3 hours tweeting and you shot 4 videos this week, well, how many clients does that actually get you at the end of that week? It can be really difficult to tell. And a lot of the strategies out there for generating traffic or visitors or whatever, they have a really long time horizon, right? Like this is going to pay off for you eventually. Well, that can be really hard to sink a lot of time into when you're not sure that that investment's going to pay off. And all of this together is going to create this situation where it's really frustrating, right? You're going to be so frustrated and mad all the time that you're going to look like this. You're just going to be twisted up and you're going to be a gnarled, wicked, evil looking person, and you're going to stay inside with the shades drawn and you're never going to see the sun again, right? It's a bum out, and it's really difficult to figure out what is not going to waste your time. So this is lame, right? This is a lame way to go about this process of marketing our businesses. It's lame. So what is the alternative? right? This is a thing that I went through myself, by the way. I'm not saying that I've always known this. I was very much in the weeds of this myself. So I had to ask myself what the alternative is. So I had a couple criteria for what is actually going to be a worthwhile alternative. So for me, any alternative to the kind of traditional internet marketing thing approach has to have these three things. It needs to be effective, efficient, and fun. Okay? Effective because I need to actually know I'm moving closer to my end goals. Right? I have income goals just like everyone else. I've got goals for my business and personal goals. And if I'm going to spend time on marketing, I want to know that it is working. I want to see the payoff, right? At the same time, it has to be efficient. I don't want to spend 2 million hours blogging and tweeting, right? I want to know that if I put an hour in, I'm going to get at least that much back, if not more. I want to put 1 hour in and get 5 hours back. I want to put 1 hour in and get 5 clients or 10 clients. So I need it to be efficient. The other thing is that it just has to be fun. And I don't know about you, but I am horrible, absolutely horrible, at doing things I don't enjoy. If I don't like something, I will just not spend the time every day to do this thing regularly. I just won't. I know this about myself now. So it's got to be enjoyable. So effective, efficient, fun. Those are my requirements for an alternative. So here is the thing that I want you to know about. This is the sort of 80%. The reason I'm saying 80% is because this is from this classic idea of the 80-20 rule, right? The 80-20 rule is this idea that 80% of the benefit is usually coming from 20% of the work we put in. So in this case, 80% of our clients are coming from 20% of our marketing. So for me, I want to know where's the 20% and what's the 80%. Well, I'll tell you what the best things we can do are, right? This is the 20% of inputs that are going to create 80% of our outputs. It's really simple. We're going to make awesome targeted stuff. We're going to make stuff for our target market that we know they will love. And I said, like love. That's it. We're going to make cool stuff. The second step, we're going to share that cool stuff with the people who are our perfect clients within our target market. And that is going to give us awesomeness, right? Because that is what's going to give us tons of extra time while also giving us a ton of reward, a ton of the effect that we're looking for. And this is, again, this idea of this 80-20 relationship, right? 20% of the marketing we're going to do is going to bring in 80% of the business. Therefore, I am only going to talk in this webinar about the 20%, about the tiny number of things we can do that are going to produce outsized results. Okay, so that's the thought process behind this whole thing. So let's jump into it. Okay, here's what we need to do. In fact, the entire process is really simple. There's only 4 things we're going to focus on. 1, we're going to define our targets. And this is going to go really deep into data and niching down, right? Then we're going to find out what they're looking for. We are going to use the web to find out exactly what types of content, what pieces of content, what topics really appeal to our target market. We're going to know that before we write a single word. Then we're going to locate leverage points. Leverage points are these people or these ideas that we can use to get a ton of benefit from a tiny amount of work. And then we're going to implement all of these steps in a simple outreach strategy. So that's it. Those are our 4 things. And I want to be clear about what my deal is and what my philosophy is here. And that it's the way we save time and money online is by being super clear and specific about who our target market is, about what they want, and who can put that stuff in front of them. So I'm going to give you some really specific strategies that you can use to make sure that everything you're going to do in your online marketing strategy, you're going to know it's going to be effective before you even get started. That's my goal. Because if we only do the effective stuff, we only focus on that 20%, we can save the rest of that time we would have spent tweeting, and we can go hang out with our kids or swim or take travel the world or whatever we want to do. All right? So that's the idea. So I'm going to jump right into it. I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to get right into the tactics. So here's the first stage of what we're doing: defining our targets and finding out what they're looking for. Okay? I'm going to break these two into 3 smaller steps. For one, we're going to define what I call a search market. 2, we're going to define a keyword theme within that search market. And step 3, we're going to find the golden rule keywords within the keyword theme. Okay, so you can kind of think of these almost as like Russian nesting dolls. We've got the search market up top, the keyword theme within the search market, and the golden rule keywords within that keyword theme. Okay, so if you're not sure what these mean, you're not sure what I'm talking about yet, no worries, we're going to get into it right now. Okay, so let's talk about search markets. Now, I made up the term search market. So if you've never heard of that, you don't have to worry about it because I made it up, right? But I define a search market as not only a target market in the bigger sense of a target market that we work with in our business, but a smaller group within a target market that is united by online behavior, usually what they're searching for. So the common example I always give is, let's say you work with lawyers, right? Well, if you're marketing online, you can't just work with lawyers. You have to limit yourself to lawyers who are searching for stuff online, right? Because you can't really reach through someone's computer and grab their face if they're not searching for you. So we're already talking about a smaller subgroup within our larger target market. But I want to define that even further and really, really niche this down. And I want to put this out there. A lot of people feel that this approach is going to limit them in some way. And I always say that you don't have to only work with the people that you're going to find in this step. But if we really make this specific, our marketing approach and our outreach efforts are going to be so much more effective. So it's really important to really get specific. So I find my search markets by asking these 4 questions. Right? Who are they? What do they need? Why do they need it? And how will they search for it? So I'll give you some examples. Who are they? Well, let's say my who is female lawyers between the ages of 25 and 40. That's a pretty specific target market. But I'm going to niche that down even more. So that's my who, female lawyers between 25 and 40. Now, what do they need? Well, my specific niche within this smaller niche is people who need help advancing in their careers. So now I'm talking about female lawyers between the ages of 25 and 40 who need help advancing in their career. Okay? Now, why do they need that help? Why do they need help advancing in their career? Well, let's say they lack confidence in public speaking. So now I've got female lawyers, 25 to 40, who need help advancing in their careers because they lack confidence in public speaking. That's my search market. Now, let's think about how they will search for help. They might search for public speaking guides for lawyers, or maybe they're searching for body language tips, or they're looking for tips or clues about how to give better presentations. Okay, so right now I have a search market and this kind of word cloud or this cluster of ideas that I think they might be searching for. To give you another example, who are they? Well, I work with coaches and consultants who have just started a new practice. Well, what do they need? Well, they need help attracting clients online. Okay, so why do they need that? Well, they're fundamentally non-technical and they're just too busy. Okay, so that search market would be coaches and consultants. They just started a new practice. They need help attracting clients online, but they're really busy and they don't have time to do it themselves. Okay, so what are they searching for? Well, they might search for online marketing for coaches, or maybe they're searching for marketing plans, like they want a roadmap. They might be searching for done-for-you marketing services. So like just getting a couple ideas of stuff they might search for. To give you one more example, let's say I'm working with dentists in private practice who want to improve their marketing because they feel like they're losing money on online advertising or something like that. Okay, so maybe they're searching for how to not waste money on advertising, or they're searching for dental advertising examples so they can see what other people are doing. It's all pretty basic, right? But getting these pieces in place is going to inform literally every step that comes after this. So it's really important that you do this when you go through this process. Okay, so that's our search market. Pretty cool. So once we have a search market, we're going to start thinking about a keyword theme. Okay, so what is a keyword theme? Well, keyword theme answers a couple different questions. For one, it says, what broad topics are people in my target market searching for? Right, so again, this is kind of what we were thinking about when we're thinking about like what they're searching for, how they search for things. What are the broad topics they're looking for? And what modifiers do they use to find what they want? Now, we all use, when we search, topics and modifiers. So the classic example is, I need to find a pizza parlor in my town. I'm going to search for pizza and then my town's name. So pizza, Middletown. Pizza is the topic, Middletown is the modifier. And whenever we're thinking about keyword themes, what we're doing is combining topics and modifiers. So for example, body language might be the topic. Body language for lawyers might be the keyword theme. Okay, so we're kind of thinking broad, general terms. We're thinking groups of topics and groups of modifiers. Now, it's kind of hard to come up with some off the top of your head sometimes, so I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to run with this body language example for these lawyers between 25 and 40. So what are some things I can kind of think of off the top of my head? Well, okay, specific poses for boosting confidence, how to be aware of your own body language, how to tell if someone is lying. Right? That's a variation on the theme. What does my body language say about me? How do I tell if my body language is holding me back at work? How do I know what my boss thinks of me by reading his body language? How can I use body language for dating? Right? They're not only interested in work, so maybe they're thinking of other things. I can just brainstorm a whole bunch of things. And this is going to be my kind of keyword theme. Now, it is hard to do this. Sometimes I get this, and it's hard to come up with a lot of stuff. So you can brainstorm your own, and that's definitely awesome, and that's how I think you should start. But I'm going to show you a shortcut. And not only is it a shortcut, I'm going to show you how to use real-world data. So to literally find out what people are already searching for and base your whole approach off that. Okay, so let's get into that. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to ubersuggest.org. The link is right there on the screen, ubersuggest.org, ubersuggest.org. And what this does is give you a bunch of variations on a keyword topic. So you're going to type in one of your major keyword themes, let's say body language, okay? It's going to give you a whole bunch of variations, literally like 9 or 10 variations for every letter of the alphabet. And then it's going to you're going to take those, you can dig down and you can look for ones that you like, and you're going to write down the ones that you think are appropriate and interesting. Okay? This is pretty straightforward. Basically, going to Ubersuggest, typing in our keyword themes, and seeing what comes up. Let me show you an example of what that's going to be like. So over here on the right, you're going to see these are the actual results. It's a screenshot of results from Ubersuggest. These are the variations for the letter D after the word body language. So we see body language decoys, body language decoder, body language dictionary, etc. Now, I'm going to look through these and find the ones I think are intriguing. Now, the one that jumped out at me when I looked at this was body language decoder. Now, I would have never thought of that off the top of my head, but the fact that this is in here means that this is a really popular search. People really search for this a lot for these to show up. So, wow, I might dig into that a little bit. What does that mean? Body language decoder cosmopolitan. So that means that, Cosmo probably, ran an article called Body Language Decoder. People are looking for it. So I might be able to create my own body language decoder content, right? And get in front of these people. We see like body language decoder at work, right? So that's an interesting, so I'm already getting a sense of what people are really looking for. I see body language during an interview, right? There's a ton of stuff I can do on that, right? Body language dating, right? That's not really right for my target market, so I might ignore that. You're going to get a ton of these suggestions. You want to get a list of maybe like, keep going through for all your various keyword themes until you get like 100 of these kind of cool keywords that you're looking at. That's our goal. We're going to get a big pile of these keywords and we're going to narrow them down. So that's that process. This is actually the way I do it for my clients. It's easiest to do it that way. That way you don't have to brainstorm, but you can brainstorm as well. Nothing wrong with that. So I like to keep mine in a spreadsheet. It just makes it easier for me, but you don't have to do it that way. So next step, we're going to take all these keywords we just found in this process, and we should have a big pile, like 100 keywords by the time you get done with this, and we're going to find the golden rule keywords. Now, what is the golden rule of picking keywords? Well, as I mentioned before, any marketing we do, it has to be efficient, right? I don't want to waste my time. So the easiest keywords to drive traffic with are the keywords that have high search volumes and low competition, right? Like if I'm going to compete for the term Coca-Cola, I'm going to sort of spoil the, spoilers. It's going to take me forever because all these websites that say Coca-Cola and places that sell Coca-Cola and Coca-Cola itself, it's just going to be really hard. But if I work on ranking for a keyword that has high traffic, but very few people are competing for that search traffic, then the little amount of time that I spend is going to give me an outsized result. This is that 80-20 rule we were talking about, right? So this is the key. High traffic, low competition. Now, is it easy to find keywords like that? Not always, it kind of depends. But I'll show you how I go about figuring this out and figuring out which of my keywords are going to be too hard to compete for and which of my keywords are these golden rule keywords, okay? So how do we find these, right? That's exactly what I said. So let's jump into it. The process is a fairly simple one. We're going to go right now to the Google AdWords tool. This is the address. I'm not going to spell it out for you like I did the other one. If you just Google AdWords tool, you will find this. You do need to be logged into Google. You make a free account or whatever. You can use this. So we're going to go to this free tool. We're going to enter our keywords into that tool in groups of 5 to 10. Okay, now you can paste your whole pile of 100 keywords in there, but I actually find that you get more variation in the suggestions if you do groups of 5 or 10. So that's what we're going to do. When we do this, we're going to make sure that our search types, and you'll see there are options over on the left-hand screen when you're in this tool. You're going to just root around. You'll find them pretty easily. We want to make sure our search types are set to exact, and then our search volume is set to local monthly. And then we're going to just look at these keywords. It's going to give us a bunch of suggestions. It's going to give us related keywords and all this data. And what we're looking for is keywords with decent search volume but low competition. That's that golden rule, right? Good search volume, low competition. All right, so AdWords tool, enter in the keywords, groups of 5 to 10, see what comes up. So let me show you an example of how this would work. This is example results from the Google AdWords tool. What I did was pop in body language decoder. You can see the words I popped in over on the left. Body language tips, body language guide, definitive guide to body language. Now over in the sort of right middle, you'll see a column that says average monthly searches, and you'll see a column that says competition. Now, the competitions it's talking about is ad competition, not actually search traffic competition, but this is an excellent sort of proxy for figuring out how competitive a keyword is. Now, looking at this data, which of these keywords jumps out at you as being kind of the key point that I might want to focus on? Well, for me, if I'm looking at body language decoder, I see that there's average monthly searches of 880, but the competition is low, right? So the competition is really low for this keyword that has a lot of traffic. So for me, that's great because that means that I should be able to rank a page or a resource on my site for the body language decoder keyword and grab some of that traffic. I know there are people out there searching for this stuff, And now I know that there's not a whole lot of competition. This is a golden rule keyword, right? Body language guide as well has 590 average monthly searches, but low competition. So this is a great keyword group to kind of focus in on. So, and I can keep doing this to find a list of maybe 50, 25 to 50 really great golden rule keywords. You just kind of keep popping stuff into Ubersuggest, popping stuff into the AdWords tool, and kind of have them both open at the same time until you get this really cool list of keywords that are really high leverage places to put your marketing time, right? Pretty cool, right? That's really the key here. Good traffic, low competition, okay? Now, think about what we just did. I know I went fast, and by the way, if you're watching this, I'll have a recording of this after the webinar, so you don't have to worry about taking notes, but think about what we just did. We defined our targets, right, and we found out what they're looking for. We now have a highly specific target audience. We have a list of keywords and topics that we know for a fact that they care about because we saw real traffic data, right? And we have an idea of where the easiest gains are to be had because we know which words have high traffic and low competition. So think about that. We now know who we're targeting, what they care about, and where the easiest points of entry are. So we've already saved ourselves literally weeks of time because we can put our energy where we're going to get the most results, right? So that's pretty awesome, but we're not done. Okay, again, remember, 80-20. 20% of the marketing brings in 80% of the business. I want to continue to apply this idea through creating the content that we're going to create and sharing the content. This is where the rubber is really going to meet the road, I think. Okay, so let's get into it. Here's what we need to do next. Okay, next steps for us. We need to locate our leverage points. Remember I talked about leverage points? So what are our leverage points going to be in online marketing? Well, for one, a big leverage point is going to be picking the best social channels. Okay? We're going to pick the most effective social channels to spread our content. Two, we're going to identify influential sub-communities within those social channels. We're going to analyze the social presence of influencers within those sub-communities, and we're going to identify effective content that's going to make those influential people come to us. So 4-step process, right? Identify the best social channels for our message, identify the influential people in those channels, analyze their social presence, and find out the best strategies we can use, and identify effective content based on stuff that's already working for people talking to our target market. I love this stuff. I don't know if you could tell. I'm so excited to get into this stuff because it's going to be really cool. And I think this next couple phases of this is going to blow your mind. So let's get into it. Okay. Here's what we're doing. Picking the best social channels. I want to tell you Barrett's Law of social media. I get a lot of people ask me about social media. People ask me to manage their social media all the time. I'm going to tell you Barrett's Law. It's my one contribution to social media marketing that I really think it's important for you to internalize this idea. Ye shall pick no more than 3 social networks to focus on. I really truly mean this. No more than 3. So many people I work with, I say, do you have any social media platforms? I say, yeah, I've got a Twitter and a Vimeo and a YouTube and a LinkedIn and a Facebook and a MySpace and a whatever, or a Snapchat or whatever it is. And I say, great, you're really invested in social media. How often do you post? Well, I don't really post. Well, that is the whole benefit of the social media thing, right? The whole benefit of social media marketing is that we can interact with people. We can talk to our target market. If you are not on there actively engaging people, you're not getting any benefit from social media. And remember, we're all about being efficient here. I'm all about saving you time. So if you don't have the time to do it, just skip it. Right? Just skip it. But it is effective when it's done right. So part of the way I save you time is I say you got to limit yourself. Only 3. You only got 3. Don't even make, you can make profiles on the other ones to save your name or whatever. But we're only focusing in on 3. Okay? It's important because the other thing you got to think about is that you want to go where your search market is hanging out, right? The whole reason we're going on social media is to talk to our perfect clients. So we want to go where they're hanging out. If none of your perfect clients are on social media, then it doesn't really make sense to be on social media. So how do you choose that, right? How do you choose which one to go on? Well, here's some basic demographic information on the various social networks, straight from the Pew Research Center. You couldn't get more high class than that. So this is who's on social media. First of all, pretty much everyone's on some social media network or another, right? We got Instagram's really big with African Americans, Hispanics, urban residents, 18 to 29-year-olds. You'll see 18 to 29-year-olds on pretty much everything, right? Twitter is mostly urban, mostly young, tends to be techie. Facebook tends to be more female. Pinterest is really female. I think something crazy like 1/3 of all US females are on Pinterest, right? Tends to be college education or higher. LinkedIn, mostly professional. Tumblr, wildly not professional, mostly younger. So whatever you choose based on your perception of where your target market is hanging out. And choose 3. And let's focus in there. Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I want to make sure that you know. I do not want you to panic right now. This is usually the point at which people start to freak out a little bit because they start to think like, what if I pick the wrong social network or I pick somewhere where my target market doesn't go and I spend all this time. And take a deep breath, relax. It's going to be fine. Because here's the message I want you to internalize. Your overall strategy is much more important than the tools you're going to use to implement it. So what content you are creating and who you're interacting with is has much more impact on your success than whether you chose YouTube or Vimeo or whether you chose Twitter or Pinterest or whatever. Are there going to be certain social networks that are better fit for you? Absolutely. But is it going to make or break your business? No. And if you make a mistake, you can always switch to the different one, right? So don't worry about it, but I do want you to pick 3, okay? I want you to make a list now, even if you're not sure, all right? So we got our 3, we got our best social channels. Now we want to identify influential sub-communities. Sub-communities is, it sounds like a fancy word. It is a fancy word. I like fancy words. I don't know if you could tell. But it's just a group of people within this larger social network that share certain traits. So a trait could be who they are. Like, for example, they could be a lawyer between 25 and 40, right? Or they could be sharing behavioral traits, like they share certain types of content or they follow certain influential people. The key here is that we're just trying to identify groups of people within our whole social network that we want to really interact with, because those are the people that are going to put us in touch with our target market. So for example, you might focus in on lawyers on Twitter. You might focus in on rich teens on Instagram. By the way, don't focus in on rich teens on Instagram. They're so insufferable. You can go out and find some examples of really awful people. Or you can focus in on dog lovers on Facebook, for example. Whatever your community is going to be, you want to really try to figure out who are the movers and shakers in that group of people are going to be, right? Now, we need groups of people that are in our search market ideally, right? I said before, we're talking about body language, so I'm looking for female lawyers on Twitter, right? If I'm working on something else, I'm working on coaches and consultants, I might be working on, people that follow certain influential coaches, like for example, multiple people on this call know Michael Port. So if I'm working with coaches, maybe I'm working on people who are following Michael Port. Whatever my conception of this subcommunity is, it's important to focus our efforts because again, 80-20, the more focused we are, the more effective we are in the shorter period of time. So how do I find these people? Let's say I want to talk about dog lovers on Facebook. I want to talk to dog lovers. How in the world do I find dog lovers on Facebook? right? So I will show you. Of course I will. I wouldn't bring it up if I wasn't going to show you, right? So here are the steps. You're going to go to Google and you're going to search for your major keywords. These are these kind of big golden rule keywords we found before, right? You're going to take these perfect keywords, pop them into Google, and see who comes up. Now we're going to take these sites, the major sites that come up, first page sites, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, etc. And we're going to check their social media following. We're going to rank them based on the number of followers they have, how active they are on social media, the number of interactions they have, how often they post, etc. We're going to find the people who are not only ranking really well, but are very active socially, okay? Then we're going to find the brands or people that have the most active presences and find them on our chosen social networks. Okay, so the 3 steps. We're going to find the people that show up in Google for these major keywords. We're going to figure out what their social media following is like, and we're going to pick the ones that have the most active presences on our targeted social networks. Okay, sounds confusing, totally isn't. I'm going to show you an example. Here's an example. I just looked for, I forget what I looked up, like dog breeds or something. Again, let's say I'm working on something that has to do with dog lovers. So you pop in dog breeds. And this is what comes up in Google over on the right. These are the results. Now, I just did a little research, went on Twitter or whatever, and looked for these brands or people. And I found, so American Kennel Club, they've got 1 million followers on Facebook. They've got 100,000 Twitter followers. Right? Discovery, that's a huge brand, right? I didn't even bother putting that in there, right? Pet Finder, they've got 317,000 Facebook fans. They've got 48,000 Twitter followers, okay? Wikipedia doesn't have any social channels, doesn't matter. Just dogbreeds.com, they didn't do the social media thing, doesn't matter, right? Dogbreedinfo.com, oh, they got 11,000 Facebook followers. So I'm starting to get a sense of who the movers and shakers are socially for the keywords that I'm targeting, okay? Now, these are the people that I'm going to focus in on, these major, gigantic movers and shakers. Again, like I said, if I was working with coaches, it might be Michael Port, it might be Brendon Burchard, it might be, whoever it is. For lawyers, it might be, I don't know who's big for lawyers. I don't know who they follow on Twitter, but it's somebody, right? So I'm going to find out who those people are just by searching in Google. Simple enough. Now you should have a list of the people that you are looking to follow, the brands and the individuals that have the most active social presences, okay? So we're going to take that information and use it, because if you think about it, what this is a list of powerful social influencers with active followers in our target market. Remember, if I'm looking for dog lovers on Facebook, I can bet that some of the followers from the American Kennel Club are dog lovers, right? I would bet that they're all dog lovers. So what this is doing is giving me active follower lists for my specific target search market. That's incredibly powerful, right? Now we can use this knowledge to determine the most effective ways to reach those sub-communities. Okay, pretty cool. So let's take this knowledge, let's actually put it in place. So the first thing we're going to do is analyze the social presence of the people that we are targeting. Okay, so this is how I want you to do. We're going to gather data on the social activity of these gigantic brands. I focus in this presentation, I focus on Facebook and Twitter. There are other applications that do this for all the social networks. You can go out and find them. Just Google your way around. You'll find some stuff. For Facebook, I use fanpagekarma.com. For Twitter, I use twitonomy.com. There are other tools out there, like I said. Both of these are free, which is why I include them in this presentation. Okay, I think you need to sign up. You don't need to pay anything. So I want to gather as much data as I can on how these major brands are using social media and how they're engaging their followers, because that's going to show me some really interesting things about how I might approach the same group of people. All right? Once we do that, once we figure out their social activity, we're going to figure out the best content to share and the best times to share it. Again, this is always about efficiency, right? So I only want to make content that I know people are going to love, and I only want to share it during the times that I know my target market is online, right? Pretty logical. And then I want to find out the holes in the social media presence of these big brands, because where the holes are, that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to find a gap in the market of these social media presences, and I'm going to fill it, right? It's a little sneaky, but it's pretty awesome. And this is basically a way you're going to not steal, but you're going to get the same followers as these major brands in the shortest amount of time. Let me show you some examples, because I know it sounds complicated, but it's actually pretty easy to do. Okay, so let's look at an example. This is going to be a page from Facebook Karma. Remember, I did that Google search earlier for dog lovers on Facebook or whatever, and I saw that Animal Planet was this big brand that had all these people following it. So I found their Facebook page just by searching on Facebook, and I popped their Facebook address into FanPage Karma. So this is a screen from FanPage Karma. And this is some of the data that it's going to give me, right? So for example, they've got 12 million fans. Well, that's crazy. I don't even know how that's possible, right? They are, they have 2.7 posts a day. Now, if I'm looking at other stuff, I notice that they don't have a ton of engagement, which is people interacting with their posts. They only have 0.2% engagement. And I noticed that they only have 0.06 post interaction, which means when they're commenting on other people and talking to people. So I'm already starting to get a sense of, Animal Planet has a ton of followers and they post fairly regularly, but they don't do a lot of interaction directly with the people that follow them. That's interesting, right? That's something I might be able to use. Okay, let's keep looking into Animal Planet. Again, I'm just digging deeper into FanPage Karma. This is all data that you get for free from FanPage Karma. Now, up in the top left, you're going to see their posts per day. And I can see that they obviously post a lot on Monday. And then they post less on Tuesday, a little more on Wednesday, a little less on Thursday. Then they kind of post medium amounts over the weekend. So I'm getting a sense of when they post. Now, below, with these sort of colored circles, we're looking at engagement per day time. And this is telling us not how much they're posting, but how much their followers are posting. And the thing I notice is that they are most successful in posting in terms of engagement on Tuesday. So they get the most engagement and interaction from their followers on Tuesday. But Tuesday is one of their lowest days for posting. So I now know something about Animal Planet that Animal Planet doesn't seem to know about itself. Namely, that if they posted more on Tuesday, they'd get a lot more interaction. And interaction is almost always good for driving people to purchase from brands. So, wow, that's going to tell me that maybe I should be focusing on posting some of my best content, or maybe I should be focusing on interacting with people who are interacting with these brands on Tuesdays during the day. Because they got the most people engaged. I also have the least amount of competition. Pretty cool, right? We can dig even deeper into this stuff. Let's look at pages on Facebook that have the same active fans. So what I noticed is that petfinder.com has by far the most similar fans. It says here that TNT America Latina does. I think that number is a little weird. In any case, I'm kind of focusing in on Petfinder. Petfinder has 69% of the same active fans are fans of Animal Planet and Petfinder. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure that I am active on both Petfinder and Animal Planet, right? Because now I know that's where my target market is. I know exactly where my target market is hanging out. This is really powerful stuff. But again, you don't have to come up with the strategy yet. We're just making note of this stuff. We're writing it down. So keeping it in our head. Okay? We're going to keep on going. All right? Now this is actually Twitonomy. So now I've switched over to Twitter, and I'm looking again at Animal Planet's Twitter account. And I can see really cool stuff. My favorite stuff to look at is most retweeted users, most mentioned users, and most replied to users. Now, I know for a fact now that these people are influential with Animal Planet, and I know that Animal Planet is influential with my audience, So I'm going to be sure that I'm not just only following Animal Planet and engaging with Animal Planet. If I'm trying to get in front of dog owners, I'm going to be engaging with and following every single one of these people. Because I know that if Animal Planet retweets, let's say Animal Planet retweets Skeptis Scientist, okay? If I can get a retweet by Skeptis Scientist, is that going to put me in front of my target market? Absolutely. So again, we're not just identifying the top tier. We're identifying the second and third tier followers as well. And this is how we're really going to influence and infiltrate the social networks of our target market. You can do this for anything and anybody. It's extremely powerful. Because again, we want to spend our time trying to influence the people who influence our target market. Right? This is how we, again, 80-20, save time, save money. It's extremely powerful. So again, that's Twitonomy, which is the Twitter analytics. We're looking at even most things. I'm getting into now their specific tweets. These are their most retweeted tweets. Now, what that tells me is that these are the kinds of approaches and pieces of content that my target market cares about the most. You know something I didn't realize? Mermaids. Apparently, mermaids is like their #1 tweeted thing. It's like 5,000 retweets for the next one, which is the puppy bowl, right? So I don't know, maybe dog lovers love mermaids. I don't know. That might be something I can work on. I also know that puppy bowl is the next one. Puppy bowl is one that I know is going to appeal to my target market. So I'm going to make a mental note of that because I'm going to use that information later. But I can see that they use also, there's other pieces of information here. Like for example, I know that the hashtag puppy bowl is getting used because this is being retweeted a lot. So if I tweet with the hashtag puppy bowl, that's one way of jumping in front of my target market. Pretty interesting stuff, right? Favorited tweets is the same thing. I can see what people are kind of saving for later or what they care about. So this is telling me a lot. It's telling me a lot about what is effective in getting in front of my target market. It's telling me a lot about who my target market listens to and who they engage with. It tells me who they interact with. It's giving me a ton of people that I can follow and engage. So this is this analyzing piece. We're getting as much data as we can. Do you know what to do with it yet? Maybe not. Don't worry about it. We're going to get into that. We just want to get this data now, get a picture of what our target market is up to. This is tweets, time of the week. We can see that, actually Tuesday is less than Sunday, yada, yada. We can see they tend to tweet from 8 to 11, and they're more quiet during the day. They're really quiet at night. Maybe some of our target market's up at night, and I can kind of jump in there. You never know. But it's interesting. We want to make sure we have all this data in the back of our heads, right? So let's kind of look. I'll give you a basic overview of what you're looking for, because sometimes it's hard to know. You're going to get a bunch of data. It's hard to know what's important, what isn't. Here are the things I want to know when I'm starting to think about a social media strategy. Who are the fans of these influencers, right? What gender are they? What are their general demographics? How old are they? Where are they from? Etc. Okay, all really important things. We want to know, and you'll be able to find out, who the most engaged and influential followers are. We're looking for followers of these brands that have the most followers, that do the most retweets, that get tweeted at the most, etc. We want to know what time of day that most of these posts are occurring, right? And we want to know what days of the week they're occurring on. We want to know what kinds of posts drive engagement, right? Are they funny posts? Are they content? Are they videos? What do people engage with the most? Now, what percentage of their posts are ignored? Which posts get no engagement whatsoever? That's important too, right? We know that those are misses. Why are they ignored? Were they at the wrong time of day? Were they at the wrong kind of content? What was it? We want to know who gets mentioned the most, who gets tweeted out or retweeted the most. We want to know what hashtags our community is using, right? We want to know what terms and language they're using among themselves. Now, one of the best things you can do is make a list in Twitter and Facebook and just follow all these people so you can kind of see them all in one place and compare. When are these users most active? And when do your competitors post the least? So if you can find, again, this is kind of like low competition, high traffic, right? That we were talking about with keywords. If there's a time of day where the influential users are really active, but your competitors or these other influential brands aren't posting a lot, man, that's the sweet spot. So again, you don't have to know all this right off the bat. We're just gathering this data. We're putting it all in one place so that we get a sense of what other people are doing and what is already working. Right? This is the key. What is already working? All right, so let's keep talking about it. So analyzing social presence. We now know who the influencers are in our search market, and we know how they're interacting with their fans. That's huge, right? So let's figure out now what content is already working to connect these brands with our clients. We know how they're interacting. Now I want to know what they're using to interact with our target market, our perfect clients. Okay, well, so let's figure that out. Now, I will say the caveat, everything I've talked about so far in this presentation is free. This step isn't. This is actually a pay tool. There are other free tools out there that I don't know as well, so I didn't talk about. However, I'll tell you, I'll connect you with a resource at the end of this presentation where you can use this for free, so don't worry about it now, but just kind of keep that in your head that this is a paid service. It's great. If you get a chance to pay for it, it's awesome, but if not, we'll talk about it at the end of this presentation. So the site we're going to use for this part is OpenSiteExplorer.org. OpenSiteExplorer.org. And what this is going to do is tell us a whole bunch of data about any website we want. So what we're going to do is enter the website of one of our major influencers. So for example, I'm focusing on Animal Planet in this example. I type in animalplanet.com. When we do that, we're going to get a whole bunch of data, but we're going to focus in on top pages. Top pages is what we want to know. We want to know the most popular pages on their website. We can then sort those pages by most shared content. So I can find out, for example, how often a particular page has been shared on Facebook or Twitter or whatever it is. We can then record all the most popular posts and pages in a spreadsheet. Okay, so go to OpenSite Explorer, enter the website of a major influencer, find the top pages, sort by social shares, and then get the top ones in a spreadsheet. I'm going to kind of walk you through that a little bit. This is a screenshot of the page from OpenSite Explorer for animalplanet.com. You can see here that we've got a bunch of data. We've got page authority, we've got the page title and URL over on the left, we've got all this stuff. All we're going to focus in on is Facebook shares and tweets. Okay, you can see those columns. They're the second and third away from the right. So if you look up at the top, you'll see Facebook shares, tweets, and then you'll see a bunch of numbers below. Now, what is the clear runaway winner, at least on this part of the page? It's Puppy Bowl. Puppy Bowl has almost 7,000 Facebook shares. It has 15,000 Facebook likes. Compare that to the videos page on Animal Planet that has 4 shares and 9 likes, right? So everybody clearly loves Puppy Bowl. I don't know if you're not from the States, Puppy Bowl is like, it's like the Super Bowl, but it's just puppies. They like tackle each other. It's pretty cool. So people love Puppy Bowl. What that's telling me is that this is content that is already working, that is already connecting Animal Planet to my target market. This is stuff that I know 100% people love. So am I going to use that when I start thinking about creating my own content? Absolutely. Because I'm not out to recreate the wheel. I want to spend, remember, the least amount of time and get the most result. So the way we're going to do that is by figuring out what works. Okay, so Puppy Bowl, I know that. We can continue to do this for all the influential brands that we gathered, right? And we're going to find all their most popular pages. And so by the end, you should have a list of kind of like 50 really popular, very frequently shared pieces of content. All right, it's pretty awesome. Oh yeah, I was just pointing this out in case you missed it. That's where the column is, right? Extremely popular on Facebook. Good to know. All right, so Think about what we just did. We've been talking about leverage points, right? Let's think about what just happened, right? We now have a list of major influencers in our search market. We've got a list of highly motivated and active followers of those influencers. We've got knowledge of the strong and weak points of each of their social media presences. So we know what they're doing that works and what they're doing that doesn't work. And we have a list now of all of their most effective content. Just think about how crazy that is. It didn't take us that long to do this, right? It's not going to take you that long to do this online. You have an incredible amount of knowledge about your search market, what works for them, what they care about, what they're sharing, what they talk about, who is talking about it. You know all this with real world data. But all this together is not a strategy. It's just a pile of data, right? So now it's time to put this all together into a strategy that makes sense, okay? So here's what we need to do next. This is the big final step here. It's implementing our outreach strategy, putting this all into a step-by-step plan for how to actually use this information. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna draw up a content plan, a roadmap of all the content we're gonna make. 2, we're gonna follow and engage with these influential people in our search market that we found in these earlier steps. We're gonna connect our social media profiles to our website to drive people back and forth, because let's not lose track of what this is all about, right? We're driving traffic to the website. So we gotta do that. And finally, we're gonna promote our targeted content. Pretty cool. It's a simple plan. It's extremely deep when you get into using all this data. So let's kind of talk about how we actually put this in play, right? So step number 1, I said, is draw up a content plan. Now we're gonna base our content plan off what we now know about our competitors' effective content, right? We're basically taking their best stuff and reworking it in our own voice. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take that list of all the best pages and blog posts that our competitors have used, and we're gonna, 1, create a list of alternate takes on the same subjects. 2, we're gonna combine these alternate takes with varying content types. And 3, we're just gonna set a schedule for production. All right, so let's get into this and talk about what I mean, right? So let's talk about create a list of alternate takes. So on the left here, I have a list of competitor content. So for example, the Puppy Bowl official page that we found on Animal Planet. Or let's say if I was doing body language, I found a competitor, their #1 shared page was 10 body language tips. Or for my own field, which is SEO, right? I might find there's a website called Moz. They have a very popular thing that's like the complete beginner's guide to SEO. I know these 3 pieces of content have been extremely effective and have driven a ton of content and have gotten a ton of social media engagement. I know they work. So let's make alternate takes that we can use to add additional value to these things. So for example, Puppy Bowl official page on my own site aimed at dog lovers, I might have a blog post that's cutest moments from this year's Puppy Bowl. Okay, right? If the most popular competitor I have is 10 body language tips, I might do body language tips for women, sort of niching it down a little bit, making it more specific, taking an alternate take on that subject. If it's the complete guide to SEO is the sort of big shared one, I might do the complete guide to medical SEO, right? If my target market is in the medical field. But it's not crazy, it's not complicated, right? We're just sort of putting a different spin on it. We're putting our own voice. We're sort of taking a different approach because we know that if things are already working to get in front of our target market, why reinvent the wheel? Why try to do it from scratch? Let's take what works and put our own spin on it, okay? Now, 2, I said we're gonna combine these with varying content types. And when I mean content types, I mean, not just doing blog posts all the time, but kind of mixing it up, right? We can do blog posts, infographics, resource collections, link lists, videos. We can do animated GIFs, right? We could do comics and cartoons or webinars, Google Hangouts, podcasts, Memes, the memes, those little pictures that have the text on them, right? We could make lists of social media influencers and publish that, or do a PDF guide, make a cool picture like with a motivational quote. We could do interviews, we do PowerPoints. This is a PowerPoint, right? I'm doing that right now. We could do surveys and questionnaires. We could do original research and publish that. We could do live coverage of events. We could do live streams of events. There's no limit to the amount of things that we could do, right? So what we want to do is take these alternate sort of approaches to the content and combine them with alternate content types to create a completely new approach to something that's already being shared. So let me show you what that might look like in practice, right? So if we're setting up a schedule for production, let's say Puppy Bowl official page, that's that competitor content, is a website or a web page. I might do a live stream of the Puppy Bowl on or I probably couldn't do a live stream, but I might live tweet it, right? Or I might live blog the Puppy Bowl, right? If 10 body language tips is a blog post that's ranking really well, I might do a webinar for body language tips, right? If Complete Guide to SEO is a video series, maybe I make my medical SEO guide a PDF. I'm sort of appealing to a different approach. And you notice that I put dates here. That's because I'm a big proponent of setting a schedule for yourself. And this gets into kind of time management a little bit. It's a little beyond where we're going to cover in here, but I really do think that if you're going to make content, the key is consistency. So if you say, like, look, I can only do one really great article a month, that is better than trying to blog all the time but kind of never being on schedule. So be consistent, set a schedule for production. You now have, or you should have, a list of really popular content, your own alternate takes on that type of content, and a whole big list of ways you can promote that content. We're going to use a whole bunch of different stuff. Now, also, when you're thinking about what types of content you're going to make, like whether you're doing a webinar or a PDF or an image or whatever, you're going to look back at all that social media data that you took earlier and say, what does my target audience share the most? Maybe they love images, right? Or maybe they love sharing videos, I don't know. But you might as well use real world data to figure it out. Okay, so that's that. We now have a content plan. We've got a roadmap. We know exactly what we're writing. And we know before we start that it's going to be effective. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. So now we need to follow and engage these influencers. Now, based on the brands and the people that we identified earlier in the social media analysis section, right, where we found the people who are really influential among our target market, we're going to do a couple different things. For one, I want you to follow new people in your search market every day. The easiest way to do that is just do a search for your keywords, the golden rule keywords that we found earlier, or your general keyword themes. Search for that in Twitter or Facebook. See who comes up. Look for people who are talking about that subject and just follow those people. Your goal should be to follow somebody new every day. Ideally, try to follow like 5 or 10 people a day. The other really easy way to do it is just find someone who's already talking to your target market and follow their followers. So I might follow Animal Planet's followers if I'm targeting dog lovers. Or if I'm targeting coaches and consultants, I might follow everyone that follows Michael Port, right? Whatever it is. Don't do it all at once. You're not trying to be scammy or weird. You just know that these are people that are interested in what you're interested in. So again, the goal is follow new people in your search market every day. We're also going to share and comment on the content of these major influencers. So the key here is that we are not doing this in a salesy way. We're not doing this in a way where we're trying to manipulate them. We are just engaging with them in a real, honest, human way, right? That's what we're doing. We're just saying, hey, I really like that article, or, saying, hey, I actually took a different approach. And if someone shares something that you really like and that you think is valuable, share that with your audience, no matter how small it is. Because what you're doing is building a relationship with these people, building a relationship with these influential people in your market, so that when you post content later, you might be able to get them to share that content with their audience, which is going to be huge, right? We're gonna, step 3, we're gonna talk about and share important news and updates that are relevant to your search market. So this is something too, you should be obviously engaged in the industry that you are a part of, right? So for me, it's SEO. So I'm always reading SEO articles and thinking about SEO news. So I'm going to share that, talk about that with my target audience. I want to be on the record as being active in this community. So we're not talking about sharing our own stuff. We're not talking about that at all. We're talking about being active, talking about what people are talking about, being part of the conversation. As you do this, you will notice that your followers will keep ticking up and up and up. But we've got to be active. We've got to be regular. Again, consistency overall. And 4, we want to make sure that we engage the followers of the influencers and ask and answer questions. This is something I love to do. It's one of my favorite tactics. Let's say you are, again, we're targeting dog lovers, and you know that Animal Planet is not active on Tuesdays, really, right? You know they don't interact a whole lot on their posts. And you see, you're following their posts, you're following what happens, and you see that someone is asking a question about Animal Planet. Like maybe they post on Animal Planet's wall, hey, Animal Planet, what time is Puppy Bowl on again? I want you, if you know the answer, to answer that question for that person. Don't wait for Animal Planet to do it and comment on it. You answer that question. You see someone tweeting at some influential person on Twitter and they're asking a question, they're not getting that question answered. You pop in, tag both those people and answer that question. This is doing a couple things. 1, you're helping out the influencer, right? But 2, you are putting yourself forward as an authority figure within your target market. That's extremely powerful. And again, you're not saying, hey, follow me, follow me, follow me. You are demonstrating value and getting the follow in return. It's extremely powerful. People love it. It's a great way to do that. So these are these 4 ways. Follow new people every day, share and comment on the content of major influencers, talk about and share important news and updates, engage the followers of the influencers as well. All right, so that's our 4-step process. Now, here's some examples I just pulled from my own social media feed. Up top left here, this was, I read a really great article about this guy that was on Video SEO. I made sure I wrote a little piece about how much I liked the article and linked to it, and then I tweeted at him and I said, hey, I loved your article. And he tweeted at me. That means that his followers saw him talk to me, which is pretty cool. I use a tool called Raven Tools to get SEO data. I tweeted them and I said, look, everyone should go buy Raven Tools. It's extremely helpful. They tweeted at me. They said, thanks for the shout out, right? That's cool. I'm engaging with people who I know are talking to my target audience. I wrote a post about using a tool called Zapier, a blog post. I made sure that they knew about it. And they blogged, they tweeted a link to my site. And they said, hey, this is an awesome use case. I got a ton of traffic from that one article. So these are all ways that you can interact with very consciously the people that you know are influencing the people you care about, right? My goal for these tweets is to become more known in the SEO community, and I know that all of these people here are in touch with and in front of the community I care about. So this is a very kind of low stress, easy way to do this. All right, pretty cool. So let's talk about connecting social media to our site. Remember, the whole point of all of this that we're doing is we're talking about social media a lot, but we want to drive traffic to the site, right? That's where our sales tend to happen. So how do we do that? Well, actually, this is probably the easiest part of what I'm going to talk about, right? Because it's not too complicated. This is what I want you to do. I want you to make sure that all your social profiles, your social media profiles, link back to your website. Pretty obvious, right? I want to make sure that your branding is on point and appeals to your search market. This is more vague, but I want you to make sure that the way your profile looks and what you say and how your website looks appeals to the people you're in front of. And 3, I want you to include links to your social media profiles on your website. So we're sending people back and forth, right? This is nothing crazy. This is nothing you haven't heard before, but that's because it works, right? These are my Twitter profile on the left, my LinkedIn profile on the right. Couple things I want you to point out, right? Or I want to point out to you rather. For one, I'm using consistent user images. I got that picture. Who is that handsome young man with his arms crossed, right? That's me. I use that picture for almost all my social media stuff because I want people to recognize me. I want people to be like, oh yeah, that's Dan. I actually use it in my email as well. I have consistent branding, right? World's friendliest web nerd, world's friendliest web nerd. Consistent taglines. I've got links to my website on both these things. If you look down towards the bottom of my LinkedIn profile, I list my website there because LinkedIn doesn't give me a direct place to put a link. I'm driving people back and forth. Likewise, I have links to my social media profiles on my site. So for example, this is on the left here is a blog post. You see these social sharing buttons that also link you over to my profiles. Over on the right, you'll see a little bio box that shows up at the end of every blog post I write that links people to my Twitter, Google+, LinkedIn. Pretty basic. I didn't spend a lot of time setting this up, but it's important that I set up those links so that if people follow me and engage with me when they are curious, and they almost always are, they will find a way to engage with me off the social network and sort of in my own environment. Right? Pretty simple. So that's that. We're already on to step 4. It's going fast, right? Now we're going to talk about promoting our targeted content. After all, we just created this whole content plan, right? So when are we going to actually promote our own content? This is a rule that I learned from Michael Port. Many of you know Michael Port, I'm sure. This is his rule. I have taken it to heart. I think it's a perfect way to put it. About 20% of the time, you should be promoting your own content, and about 80% of the time, you're promoting other people's content. There's that number again, right? 80-20. So we're really only promoting ourselves 20% of the time. The vast majority of the stuff we should be doing should be about adding value to other people, sharing cool stuff, and not pressuring people to check out our own stuff. Because if you pressure people to check out your stuff, they end up not following you anymore and you lose audience. So that's a pretty basic rule to keep in mind. Now, think about what we have, okay? We now have a list of vetted, highly effective content to create. All the content we know works already, and all our variations on that content, the type of content we're going to use, and the dates we're going to create it on. We have a strategy for engaging with influential people in our field. We know who they are, we know how we're going to engage them. We have a social media presence now, right, that drives people to our site and vice versa. And we have a strategy for sharing our powerful content, that 80-20 rule. That is pretty much everything you need to know. A list of the content you have, a strategy for talking with influential people, a social media presence that connects to your web presence, and a strategy for sharing that content. That is awesome, right? I mean, I can't stress to you how much time and money you will save if you can implement the stuff we just talked about. But I've got one more thing, and I know you're like, oh my gosh, Dan, please, you just spit so much stuff at me. And I know we covered a ton of material in this webinar, but I have one more thing for you to think about, okay? Now, here's what I want you to kind of hold in your mind. As you kind of read this stuff that I'm saying and you're visualizing yourself doing all these things and putting together your social media strategy and figuring out your search market and your keywords and your content, you're visualizing yourself doing all this stuff, I want you to really stop and think about what you think your business would look like if you actually did all this stuff. If you really took the time to put this all in place, to figure out this strategy, to figure out all this sort of pieces to this outreach and this data, and you were able to use that to craft for yourself the perfect online outreach strategy, the perfect marketing strategy, what would that do for your business, right? What would it actually do for you? What would it look like? And think about that. And the reason I say that is because the number one reason people fail is that they never follow through. The reasons that people fail online and fail in online marketing, it isn't because it's impossible or it's too technical. The hardest part is just getting your daily tasks done. Making sure that you follow those people every day, that you share the content, that you're keeping up with people. I know it's hard. There are tools out there that can automate a lot of that. But in the end, you're going to have to do some of it. I always say an hour a week, right? That's what I spend. That's all it takes me. But you got to do it. And I know that if you're not careful, you're going to forget about this webinar. You're going to forget about all this stuff that I said, and you're not going to put it in practice. You're not going to get the benefit. So this is what I want to do. I want to help to develop your personal marketing plan for free. I'm going to give you the same attention and knowledge that my consulting clients pay me $1,000 a month for. Okay? This is no joke. I want to do this for you for a couple different reasons. But I'm going to tell you what you're going to get first, right? I want to give you personal advice and guidance about putting this entire webinar into place for your business and your target market. I want to help you figure out exactly who you're going to target and find the influential people and content that are already connecting these influencers with the people you want to do business with. And I want to help you draw up a personalized marketing plan for the next 3 months. You have a specific, drawn out plan for exactly what you're going to do over the next 3 months. I want to do this with you in person on the phone. Free, totally free. Now, this is the question that I know you are going to ask, and I want to say this right up the front because I'm a very honest person. Why would I do this for free, right? I just said that people pay me $1,000 a month. Why am I spending some time with you for free? Well, I'll be totally honest. A couple different reasons. For one, I really want you to do awesome. I'm not kidding. I'm a huge nerd for this stuff. I love talking about this with people. And I really, really, really want you to be able to grow your business online and connect with people. That would be amazing for me. It'd make me so happy. Secondly, you may be my ideal client. And you may want to work with me. You may want to hire me for consulting. If that's so, that's awesome. I love talking to people. I love meeting people. That would be great. But if not, no worries, right? No worries. There's no pressure. But if that happens, that would be great. And then lastly, I want to make sure that you get a ton of value out of this presentation because I want you to share this with everyone you know, right? I'll let you in on the secret. This is part of my content strategy, right? So I want you to share this webinar with literally everybody under the sun. And I know you're only going to do that if you get a ton of value out of it. So that's why I want to do this one-on-one consult with you, because I want to make sure you get that value. Okay? So here's the thing that I'm sure people are thinking. I want to put this out right away. You have my word. There's no sales pitch. I don't get people on the phone and try to sell them stuff. I never have. I just don't. The Hartford Courant, this is true, recently called me the world's worst salesman in their newspaper. This is like the Connecticut's biggest newspaper, called me the world's worst salesman. So I'm pretty sure that even if I tried to sell you on the phone, you would be fine, right? But that is not going to happen. I have no sales pitch, whatever. If we decide to work together, that's great, but I don't sell anybody, so you don't have to worry about that. And I'm going to even put it more strongly and say that if you think I wasted your time on the phone, I'm going to pay you $100. Seriously. I will pay you $100 if you think I just got you on the phone, tried to sell you a bunch of crap and wasted your time. And I can say that because I've never had to do it because I don't waste anybody's time. So I just want to put that out there, okay? So there is a catch though. The catch to this is that I can't meet with everybody because I just don't have time. I don't have time to do more than a few calls a week because I'm already busy. So I will only be able to help you if you fit into these criteria, okay? I want you to have been in business for a year, at least a year. Now it's cool if your business has changed a little bit or you're retargeting, but I don't want to work with anyone who's just starting out because there's so much to do. So I want you to be in business for at least a year. That means we're great. We can have some time together. I want you to be really willing and motivated to make this work. Okay? I don't want to spend a lot of time with you kind of talking and then you say like, well, I don't really want to do anything online. If you think this is right for you and you're motivated, I would love to help you. Otherwise, it's totally fine. There's tons of stuff you can do. I just don't have time to spend with you. And you have to be awesome. Obviously, if you're still watching this, you are awesome. But you have to be awesome. You have to be fun because I want to work with people that are fun and energetic and cool to work with. So if that is you, I want you to apply. Would love it. Love you to apply. This is what you do. You go to twofriendlynerds.com/apply, right? twofriendlynerds.com/apply. There's a little application form that you fill out, and I read it, and if I think we're a good fit, we set up a call. It's just that easy. So if you want to apply, please do it quickly. I tend to run out of spots pretty quickly just because my schedule fills up and I don't have time to meet with everybody. So remember, you've got to go fill out the application form. If you're interested in that, it's twofriendlynerds.com/apply. Whew, take a big breath. That was it. We just went through a ton of stuff. We talked about finding our perfect clients in their search market. We talked about finding out what they care about and our golden rule keywords. We talked about identifying influencers, the followers of influencers, the weaknesses in their social media presences, how to find effective content, how to write your own content, how to share it. I mean, we covered a million things, but I guarantee you, if you can execute on the stuff we covered today, you will be swimming in traffic. And again, if you want to talk about how you can apply this directly to your business and get my personal advice and guidance, or you want me to look online for perfect content for you, whatever you need, apply so we can do a quick call together for free. That's it for the webinar. Thank you guys so much. My name is Daniel Barrett from twofriendlynerds.com, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks a lot.